Where's the road? There is no road. This is actually crazy.
Säkkijärven polkkaa. Se polkkatas menneitä mieleen tuo ja se outoa kaivuta rintaan luo. Ei soittaja haitarin soida suo. Säkkijärven polkkaa.
Given my misadventures the previous day, I decided that now would be the perfect opportunity to actually visit the city of Cessus, the very reason I had come here in the first place. But given how far Cessus is from Melteri, you'd have to be pretty foolish to consider walking it. So that's exactly what I did.
It is Saturday. I'm not really sure where I am, to be honest, just somewhere in rural Latvia. Looking for a castle. I wonder if this is it. Yeah, that's gotta be it.
But in all seriousness, the weather was nice, the temperature was warm, and I had a general idea of the direction of Cessus. So, with that little information, I was well on my way. Not to mention, the countryside was still absolutely beautiful, especially now that I could see it in full daylight. Plus, the roads were far less traveled.
Tell you what, it is a really good view. That's pretty cool. I still cannot get over just how picturesque this place is. I mean, that's the path I'm walking down. And supposedly there's a castle at the end of it. It's just really pretty.
It was also really cool to be able to see so many unique buildings, but eventually I would encounter one of the most intriguing finds I would run into that day.
Oh, and here is one of the things I was looking for. Look at that. That is pretty cool.
I had just found an old windmill, and to be honest, I've really not seen anything like this before. I've certainly seen windmills in the past, but this one was very unique and certainly seemed to fit well into the rural landscape.
Also found this little guy. He's shy.
There was a sign just inside the windmill indicating that it was €3 to enter, so I looked around to see if there was anyone I could pay. I definitely wanted to contribute my fair share to maintaining this really cool site.
Unfortunately, I forgot my little coin purse, so I'm going to have to see if I can get change from this person I just saw over here. And hopefully my Russian is good enough.
After going to ask, I was introduced to a very tall and extremely nice man by the name of Gatic. He was very surprised to hear that I had come all the way from the United States and was more than happy to show me around. He was extremely nice as well and told me the history of what apparently is still a working windmill.
So not only, I was told, is this a very old windmill, but it's actually still a working windmill. And you can almost see the gears and the other mechanics. And he said about twice a year, they will try and operate it and make sure it's still in working condition. Look, there's even this cool trapdoor in the floor. So I'm going to be cautious and step around that. And that's a really nice view.
According to Gatic, his wife's ancestors were the individuals who bought the property on which the windmill currently resides. However, the windmill itself was constructed way back in the mid-1800s, making the fact it's still operational even more impressive. I spent the next few moments exploring the windmill and all of its many wonders.
Wooden shoes.
And after checking out the structure's main mechanics, I thought it would be best that I get on my way. I did, after all, still have to make it to Cessus.
It's time to go and see if I also can't buy more water for the road.
So, after saying goodbye to Gatic, who was kind enough to let me use his tap, I was well on my way.
Okay, so that was an awesome experience. Now I have more water. It's still insanely beautiful, but I need to meet a friend in a little over an hour, so I need to now make the walk to Cessus, which would take me just about that time.
However, as it turned out, the train my friend was planning on taking was simply too full, and as a result, I had a few more hours to myself, so I certainly used them to the best that I could, and explored more of the Latvian countryside. So the next few hours were spent just walking around, taking in the scenery, really enjoying everything that I was able to come across. I think the lifestyle of a lot of the places in the country is quite different from what I saw in Riga, what I saw in a lot of the other cities. Oh, finally, here we go. So this is telling me that Cessus isn't very far. Just gotta take this road for about an hour and 20 minutes more and I should be close to Cessus. I will say though, today is definitely much warmer than it was yesterday. It's a long way to Tipperary. It's a long way to go. So I continued onward, Cessus being my main goal, but as it turned out, I wouldn't be going directly there. Okay, so I've come to a fork in the road. Sort of. That way is Sessus. This way is Bitus, very small municipality. And that way is Agra. And I could just walk straight. But I think I'm gonna walk toward Bitus, and I can get to Sessus from Bitus. It'll add about maybe 30 minutes to the journey, but I am here to see as much as possible, so that's what I'll do. So I started making my way into Bitus, which definitely had a much more rural road than I had been walking on. Yeah, I'm glad I decided to walk this way. This is so pretty. Only problem is, I am on a dirt road again. But at least it's not very wet today, so I'm not getting too muddy. I walked for about 20 minutes more before I finally managed to get back on track towards Sessus. There we go. Sessus. The town was quite beautiful, so I decided to continue walking around, taking in the scenery. Not only did I make it to Sessus, but I found a cat. What you doing, little guy? Oh. I continued walking around, looking at some of the historical sites, including the cathedral located in Sessus. Of course, no visit to Sessus would be complete without touring the 800-year-old Sessus Castle, which has a history with the Teutonic Order. Sveiki.
Sveiki.
Exhibits included a self-guided tour through the castle by candle lantern, which was awesome, as well as a projection within the castle tower about the history of the castle from its construction all the way through the various wars it was witness to. There were a lot of cool other exhibits as well, but one thing that I really liked was the medieval village located on the castle grounds. Individuals dressed in medieval style clothing would talk about the trade that they were embodying and even produce wares for sale.
Not really in a good quality, but it's quite fine. It's Saint Barbara.
If I'm being honest, I think this town is already a must visit if you ever make it out to Latvia. From there, I went to the train station in Sessus to meet my friend, who had finally managed to find a train from Riga. Once we were both in Sessus, we decided to have a brief dinner and then started on our way. What do you think about us starting our 4-hour hike? As before, the scenery was quite beautiful and the sun was starting to go down, so it wasn't as hot. We continued to push forward until it became evident that the bugs would be much more of a problem than we had anticipated. But things were going smoothly, and as usual, I was trying to take in as many of the sights as I could on our way back. Did you read this? These carvings are from the 1300s, some of them. That's insane. We kept pushing onward, although it was becoming evident to me that maybe Steven wasn't enjoying the hike as much as I had hoped. Uh-oh. Looks like we'll have to turn back. There's a tree in the path.
To mow on through.
And to be fair, the path we were walking on was becoming increasingly difficult. Man, now we're really in the middle of nowhere. And I'm sure it was worse too, because all of my attempts to make conversation frankly sucked. You ever watch Finding Bigfoot? Regardless, we kept moving forward. At this point, turning back would have taken us much longer anyway. So the bugs are still a problem, but at least it's really pretty. Eventually, however, we finally made it out of the woods. We've been upgraded from mud to dirt. Hurrah! However, the bugs would simply not let up. Insane, there are so many of them. And they're like everywhere. Oh my god. Don't get them all. They're all over me. Jesus. Oh my god, there's so many. Oh my god. After about a half hour more of walking, we finally evaded the bugs, only to go back into the woods. The scenery was pretty, to say the least, but to be honest, at this point we had no idea what we were getting into. So according to Google Maps, this is technically a road. Although again, for a view like this, I mean, I can't speak for both of us, but I think it was worth it. This is crazy. We're actually in the middle of the woods. This is a road. I guess it technically is a road. You could get a car through here with much difficulty, but we can barely even walk through here. And it would still get more adventurous yet. Where's the road? There is no road. This is actually crazy. If literally climbing over logs and struggling not to get lost weren't enough, we also still had the bugs to contend with. But eventually, we did finally make it out of the woods and onto the right track. We're almost back. Yeah, I think there's a good chance that Steven will never talk to me again. Regardless, despite everything that had happened over the past few days, the third day would be, by far, the most challenging, with the most obstacles. I brought 2 water bottles this big, and this is all I've got left. I will be honest, now I have no idea where I am.